What's going on, y'all? This is the fourth and final part of my NBDev tutorial series. In this part, I'm going to be showing you how to add a CLI functionality to your Python project and also finally publish it to PyPi. All right, let's get into it. All right, so now we're going to add a CLI tool to our Python library here. To do that, we're going to be using this fastcore library that adds some nice functionality, make it easy for us. It's also by the awesome FastAI people, with Jeremy Howard and the awesome crew there and all their contributors. And so the thing that we're going to be using fastcore for specifically is this script section that they have. So this is as says here, fast way to turn your Python functions into a script. So in here they also mean just a CLI tool. And so it adds a bunch of this awesome ability to automatically parse any sort of command line arguments by just adding special types of type hints to your function call. So here you have to import this call parser, and in your function that you want to turn into a CLI, you just have to add the parameter type hint here with the message that you want displayed and the type that is going to be. You can have like ints, strings, booleans, etc. here. And whatever the name is of the parameter that you want. So here, this one is a print message, optionally converting to uppercase. So when they run here and you set it up correctly, when you try and run this, you can get your help output and usage. And so say that this has a message which is required. So print message optionally converting to uppercase. You can see that you have an additional uppercase one here. So we're going to be using this library to add the CLI to our project here. So the first thing we're going to do is just go ahead and pip install fastcore into our library. So I believe we're already getting this from NBDev. So if you don't already have it, here's how you can install it with pip install fastcore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy one of these and paste it and to create a new Jupyter notebook, and I'm going to call this one CLI. And this is usually how I structure my projects anyways, is that I have all the functionality plus a little CLI notebook that generates that for us. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and copy over this code that they have for an example. We're going to paste it into our notebook. And we're going to do, I'm going to show you a little hello world example here to make sure that everything's working. I'm going to go ahead and delete all this extra stuff. Whoops, don't want to delete that. If you, for a Jupyter notebook tip, if you're in the command option, like if you've hit escape, and in a notebook and you deleted something, a cell that you didn't want, you can just hit the Z command. You can just hit the character Z and it will undo that. Okay, so I want to keep this export here. So I'm going to go ahead and reorganize this a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and move this here and export this. It just reminded me that it looks like I forgot to export this area here, so I'm going to go ahead and change that. So in the game notebook, I forgot to export our import statements that we had. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that real quick before I forget. I believe That was weird. I'm not exactly sure why it was giving me a hard time. Maybe it just wasn't syncing correctly. If you have that issue, just try opening and closing and opening the notebooks. Hopefully that will fix it. But anyways, it seems like it's working now. So yeah, as I was saying, I just had forgotten to export this import statement in the games notebook. Anyways, back to here. So we're going to go ahead and I didn't save my, okay, so we have this import statement here, and they have a little function for us. That's some of the functionality that we're looking for. Export this. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this here, but I'm going to get rid of the optional one. And I'm just going to do hello world. Hello world. Function here, and that also prints out the message that we pass it. What the heck? It is not liking me today. Okay, I don't know why it keeps wanting to overwrite some of the stuff I'm writing. Okay, so anyways, now let's go ahead and export this. And in order to be able to call this from the command line, we need to edit in our settings.ini we scroll down here, oops, the console scripts here. We need to add in a console script, which is basically when the user types in a particular word. So in our case, it's going to be mages. We're going to tell it when where to execute the function that we want hooked up to this keyword. So here we're going to say mages. That's going to be equal to the library that we have. So the name that we're going to be using is ncoop 57 mages. You change this to whatever your library is called. Dot whatever module it is in the function that you want to call is in. So our function is going to be in the CLI module. We're going to do CLI colon and then the function name. So for us, it's main. And so with that out of the way, I think there was one other thing that needed to change. I don't think I'm exporting this anywhere in particular. Let's see. So I believe, yeah, I accidentally deleted the little topmost comment here to tell NBDev where to place the notebook. So I'm just going to go ahead. Come on. All right. Being a little finicky with me. Okay. So let's go ahead and now properly export that. We go here. We see we now have the CLI under the right function. And so now if we go ahead and update our installation of the package, okay, we should now be able to type mages, and we'll get the error message. So it's saying that there's a required message field that we need to do. So we can do mages. This is my message. And we now see hello world and then the message that we typed. All right. So now that we have the CLI working, now we just have to program in the logic that we're going to do for starting a game when a user calls mages. And so in particular, what we're going to do is essentially go to our game one, and we already have the function already sort of written for us called this game loop that just requires a player and the number of times we want to play. And so all we have to do is call this function from inside of our CLI function, along with making the player. So let's see how we create a player again. So init player is the function in here. So for us to get the player, we will call this function, which will do all of the asking the player for the speciality and the name of the mage as well. So now that we have that here, we should be able to now test this out to see if everything's still working. So if we do mages with this is my message, we get is not defined. And that's because I forgot to import it. Whoops. All right, so let's go ahead and import that right now. So from incoop7 mages dot game import, and we're going to be importing init player along with the game loop. Oops. Game loop. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and export that again and rerun this. Okay, so now it's we're actually playing. So hi there. What is your specialty? Let's do fire. Username Nathan. And we're off to the races. So we now are doing the exact thing that we did last time, where we're actually playing the game. So we can attack, and we lost some health. We also did some damage. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that since it's not working. To just make it a little easier for the user if they want to play a shorter game or something like that, let's make this in value a parameter. So instead of message, we'll put in, and we'll say that the number of battles, and this is going to be an integer. And so we'll just now say n. Oh, come on, don't do this to me. Open up. And we don't need to be printing out this hello message anymore. Go ahead and export that. And let's see if, okay, so we get the error message. We do -h, oops, use -h. We're getting their old print message, so we'll have to update that. But we also now have a positional argument, the number of battles. So let's do 1. So let's test out that that's working. Nathan, attack, 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 and attack. All right, and we only went for 1 round, so perfectly, and we get the congratulations. So Nathan's name shall go down in history. Awesome. All right, and so it is that easy to add in a CLI tool to your application when using this awesome fastcore library that FastAI developed. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to actually uploading our project to PyPi, which I'm very excited for. I hope you're excited for, because then people can pip install if you have a game or if it's just a library on their own machine and start using it. And so I'm going to be showing you 2 different ways of doing this. The first way is going to be manual. So you'll be, doing it from the command line, which is very simple. Don't get me wrong. It's not like difficult or anything. But the second way I find more interesting because it uses GitHub Actions and allows you to do things like releases through GitHub in order to publish on PyPi. So right before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and just upload these changes that we did. So okay, I'm going to go ahead and do git add-a and commit and added a CLI tool. I'm going to push that. Okay, so in order to publish to PyPi, you need to register on PyPi. The first one that I want you to register on is this test PyPi. So this allows you to make sure that when you actually do go to publish on the regular PyPi, that your workflow and everything seems to be working correctly before you go ahead and commit to, publishing into the world. So go ahead and register on test.pypi.org. You'll need to verify your email and all that stuff as well. And then after that, also do the same on regular pypi.org, register and verify your account and all that stuff. Once you have that done, luckily for us, NBDev makes it very easy for us in order to publish to PyPi. And so I'm going to show you a little bit different from the one that they have on their website. But if you want to see how they do it, they have a particular type of PyPi file where you can store your username and password for the PyPi. And they show how you can publish by just using make PyPi or make release to publish. And so I'll talk you through that right now. They also show an example of how you can do this through Conda. Now, I've tried to get this to work and I really could not. I'm not exactly sure what I was doing wrong or what's going on, but I could not get the Conda version of publishing to Anaconda to work. So we're going to ignore this step. All right, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get down into it. So it's relatively straightforward. All we had to do is go to this make-file. And since I couldn't get Conda to work, we're going to be editing this make-file. Particularly under release, we're going to just change and delete this Conda release. And that is basically it. Oh, also under the PyPi in this make release, we're going to change this from regular PyPi repository, which would be uploading your project to the actual PyPi, to the test repository. And so to do that, all we had to do is change this to test PyPi. And if you're not familiar with makefiles, they're basically just very simple, easy to use commands that you can run. So you can run, you can say make, and then whatever name that you want here. So like something like docs serve, docs test, or release, and it will call whatever functions that you define underneath this. So since I saved that, all I have to do is make release. I forgot the one thing that in here that we need to do for NBDev, which is to install Twine. So it's just pip install Twine. So let me go ahead and run that now. Yes. Teacher Nathan here. One thing that I forgot to mention is that for PyPi, you need to tell it the requirements that your project needs for it to install along with your project when you do the pip install command. And so in order to do that, you have to add this requirements line in your settings.ini and include all the dependencies. So in this project, the one dependency that I have for the CLI tool is this fast core. You can add another one if you needed to by just adding a space here and then adding whatever the name is. You can also whatever the version, if you want to pin it to a particular version, you can do that here with equals equals or greater than equals more or less than. It supports all that stuff. But yeah, back to the tutorial. Okay, and now make release. My username is 57. And I'm going to cut this out one sec while I do the password. Just a quick update. I just got this error and I wanted to walk you through it. So I got this Nathan Allen Cooper Gmail is an invalid value for the author email. Use a valid email. So if you get something similar like this, it's because I did not put .com at the end of this. And so if you run into something like this, just go on over to your settings. And you're going to just update your author email. So you just go here to .com. And so that should make the error go away. Okay, and so we have now uploaded this to the test PyPi. And we also did something where we bumped the version. So let's first just double check that we that our library is working. So let's go ahead and go to this link. And we're live. As you can see, we are on version 0.01 is the one that we just pushed. And here is the README that we had. So it's very basic. We'll have to update that. But we now are at 0.01. Awesome. And so one other thing that happened is you can see that we went from old version 0.0.1 to new version 0.0.2. So what this is telling us is that essentially for test PyPi or regular PyPi, they have these different versions that people can install. They can install the latest or previous version. And so NBDev automatically bumps up you to a new version since you can't re-upload the same version to PyPi or test PyPi because there'd be a conflict. And so what the exact file that it changed was in here, this init. So it changed it to 2.2, and I believe it also changed it here so as well. So as you can see, we are now at version 0.0.2. All right, so now everything seems to be working. So let's just publish directly to regular PyPi. So in order to do that, all we do is change this to, in our makefile, we just change the repository to just regular old PyPi. And we do the same thing. So make release. Username. What's my username again? Coop. 7. Okay, and you see that we've now published, but now we publish the version 0.2, which is just because we had previously published with 0.1, and so we were on 0.2, and so now the code that we're currently writing would be for 0.03. But if we go ahead to this link, we can see we are now on regular old PyPi, and we have the project here. Awesome. Okay, so let me close this down. So this is how, and that's basically all of the stuff that you need in order to publish to PyPi. The manually. So I'm going to show you how I prefer to do this using GitHub Actions to do it in a sort of more automatic way. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new workflow. So we're going to go over here. I'm going to call this one deploy.yml. And I'm just going to copy and paste one that I already have over here. And let's walk through this together. So this is going to be how we're going to be deploying. The type of action that we're going to be waiting to run this action is for a release. And so if we go to this library on GitHub, images, there's this release tab here. And so what we can do is create a new release here and publish the release. And doing this publication of the release is what's going to trigger this GitHub action here. So it's going to be a type publish. And so what it's going to do is going to be doing the same thing as if you watch the testing tutorial that I wrote. It's going to be setting up a machine using Ubuntu, checking out our code, making sure that on the Ubuntu we have Python set up, specifically 3.6. It's going to install the library for us. But for this particular one, we're also going to install some other dependencies. So we're going to install Twine so that we can publish the PyPi, as well as this additional one that's required for Twine called Wheel. And then we're going to be publishing to PyPi. As you can see, we're going to be running the same make release. But we also have these additional ones. Since PyPi, you need to add in your user information, so your username and password. We have these special environment variables to store that. Now with GitHub, you don't want your, your secrets and stuff like that, your password and things like that posted to GitHub for everyone to use and steal. So we're going to be using GitHub secrets to make sure that they're encrypted so that no one can steal that information. And I'll show you how to set that up. The Twine repository as well, I'm going to change this to just regular PyPi. And the reason why I have these environment variables named like this is what Twine will look for when trying to publish PyPi. So look for an environment variable called Twine username, Twine password, and Twine repository. And it will use the information instead of prompting you to enter it. And so that way we can automate this process so that we don't have to type in our username and password every time. And then if you remember back, after we've done a release, it bumps the version up and it changes two files in particular. It changes the file for the init file and it changes the settings file. Now, if we didn't save those changes to our repository, when we go to release again, we're going to be trying to publish the same version that was already published before and get a conflict from PyPi. And so in order to stop that, we need to make sure that when these files get changed to the new version, we save those. And so we're going to be using this additional auto commit action that someone else wrote, this awesome person here, Stefan, to save those changes and commit the changes back to our branch. Okay, so that is what this GitHub action does. Let's go ahead and now jump over. Let's go ahead and upload this first. So let me open up my terminal again. Git add. So we updated the version numbers and added deploy GitHub action for publishing to PyPi. I'll go ahead and push that. And let's go ahead and now jump on over to GitHub to add the secrets. So to add secrets to your repository for you to be able to use with GitHub Actions, you just have to go to your Settings tab, scroll down here to Secrets, and you are going to generate a new repository secret. Now these have to be the exact names for your secrets. So they have to be PyPi username here, since that was used in the GitHub action script. And so my username is Coop57. I'm going to add that secret. This one doesn't technically have to be a secret because it's just a user, regular username. So yeah, if you want, you can put that just directly in the GitHub actions. in the GitHub action file, the YAML. But for the password, you definitely want to make sure that it is a secret. So I'm going to go ahead and create this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so just created the two different secrets. We have the PyPi password and the PyPi username. And if you want, you can always update these as well or remove them from your repository. And that's basically it for being able to now publish using GitHub Actions. So in order to test this out easily, what I'm going to do is I'm going to update where is the project? Okay, here. I'm going to go ahead. If we check here, we have this project description, which does not have the correct way of installing our library. And so I'm just going to update this to have this particular one. So that way you can see that it does change when you do this publication through GitHub Actions. So I'm just going to go ahead to update that, go to the index, and change this here to be just what I copied. Yeah. All right, go ahead and close that. And do GitHub status. For some reason, it didn't remake the README, which it should have. So I'm going to go ahead and build the README manually by typing NBDev build docs. Oop, why isn't it working? Build docs. Huh. That's a little funky. Some other things to work out, I guess. I'm going to just go ahead and change this manually, I guess, then to pages, or I should just, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and commit these. README, and push that. And now, in order to make the new release, all we had to do is come over to here. And let's see, what version are we on? To see what version we're currently on, you can just go to your settings, and we're on version 3.0. So I'm going to label this release version. I'm going to tag it at a specific tag, and I'm going to say that it is version 3.0, 0.0.0, and I'm going to say that this is update README release. You can write whatever you want. You can also describe it in more detail here. And now let's publish this and see if everything's working. Fingers crossed. So we just published it. Let's go now to our GitHub Actions to see if it's getting deployed. If we here now, we have executed 2 of them. The one that we care about right now is this particular one, I believe. Oh, no, sorry, that one's the wrong one. We care about this one. So because it has the deploy name. So if I go ahead and click here, it is currently installing the library. It's uploading. And it uploaded it correctly. And it's also uploaded, saved the change to the version numbers and published it. So it correctly deployed. So if we go back here, we can see the commit to update the version numbers. We can go double check that it did that by going to here and seeing that we're now on 0.04. And if we go on over to Mages and reload the page, you can see that the live version here is 0.03, and it has the updated way of installing the library. So if we go ahead and copy this over here, paste it. And it says that we already had the version. Actually, it says that we have 0.0.2. So let's say that we want to upgrade. So you can just do the -u. And it says now we successfully installed the 3 version. So let's go ahead and double check. So if we do mages 1, and we have it working. Awesome. So this is the method that I prefer to do, and so I'll make a change, publish it to, I'll push it to GitHub, and then when I'm ready, I, through GitHub, create a release and everything like that. And through that, the reason why is that I also now have our release version tagged both on GitHub, so there's a special branch that people can now go to that has all the code for this particular version 0.0.3, and also if they want to download the source code for this release, they can download it as a zip as well. So it makes it a little easier to show how the library is progressing and stuff like that. And so that's why I prefer this method. All right, so now you have the tools in order to create a Python project, document it, test it, and now even deploy it to PyPi. So I challenge you to take what you've learned in this series and apply it to your own project. If you do, leave your experience down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear about it. Also, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. If you have any comment suggestions, etc., leave it down in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe for more content like this if you enjoyed it, and stick around because I have a lot of more stuff in the works. All right, I'll see y'all in the next one.